everything so that we... Dude, look at you. You're all jacked and stuff?
Dude, I am so burnt. Like, every part of me is so burnt. I have to have the least amount of cloth touching my body as possible.
That's hilarious. What did you do?
We've been out painting the house. Pardon me for a second, I gotta hydrate.
See...
And,
listen, here I am about to drink my Jack.
Listen, no sugar added. And I'm not going to lie to you, it tastes like absolute butt.
I'm going to smoke my cigar and drink my Jack. And you're going to drink...
I was like, I almost wanted to text you earlier. I was like, what I wouldn't give for a candy cigarette right now.
Oh, that would be amazing. That would be so funny, dude.
It would have been awesome.
See, one of these times, I'm going to buy like a giant bong. And I'm going to show up. So I want to talk about money stuff more on my channel.
Yeah.
Like I just want to, that's like a thing that I want to do.
Diversify the portfolio.
A little bit. I mean, obviously, like, it's an archery channel, but I feel like it's the end goal of everybody having more time and more money to go on more hunts or buy more archery gear. I feel like it's beneficial. Like, it's kind of
on the worthwhile endeavor.
Yeah, on the totem pole of things that have to happen. Like, it's in line. So I wanted to talk to you about this because in the first video that I did, not the first video, the second kind of finance video that I did last week, I brought up Rich Dad, Poor Dad, which he was talking about his poor dad who was a teacher. And I was like, Nate's a teacher. I should make fun of him for being a poor teacher. Let's get him on the channel. No, I'm
true story. If anybody ever finds out where I live, you drive past my house and you want to connect to the seller's Wi-Fi, our password is all lowercase, one word, poor teachers.
So, it's sad. It's sad.
Like that's it's really sad.
So what do you do with the millions of dollars that you earn every year as a YouTuber, though? How many comments have you gotten like that where guys are like, "We know you're just doing this for the money," and you're like,
it's so funny. It's like, and in particular as a teacher, it's like, no, like I literally have multiple jobs that I don't do for the money. Like, I'm not a teacher for the money. I'm not a little league umpire for the money. I don't work in a bow shop for the money, and I definitely don't hand out literally free archery education on YouTube for money. Like, I don't do it for money. So yeah, it's the millions with an M.
Yeah.
The millions that I'm currently making go for most of the time. A lot of it gets saved. Yeah, we're very good at living within our means in this household.
So let me ask you some kind of like, I want to think about this in a way that it's going to pertain to a lot of people.
Yeah.
Because I think you have a job that is, first of all, your work ethic is obviously ridiculous. Like the fact that you are a teacher, you're working at an archery shop, you run the YouTube channel, which does produce some income. But like, guys, it's literally like a couple $100 a month if Nate's running, I know he's running numbers like, yeah. I mean, it's not much.
COVID last year was a huge anomaly because everybody sat at home and watched YouTube. So like last year was a huge anomaly, but monetary wise. But with 30,000 subscribers, yeah, it's a couple $100 a month.
Yeah, that's the thing. I mean, I feel like if you were running millions of subscribers, and the other thing is YouTube has changed stuff where the AdSense dollars have gotten chopped and chopped and chopped again. So it's just not like,
yeah.
The dollars per hour that you spend doing this, like, compared to what you're making.
And all the camera upgrades and everything else to it. Yeah,
exactly, yeah.
I currently, going back to the work ethic thing, I have my dad in particular to thank for that. My dad grew up in poor San Antonio, Texas. Dad worked on the railroad for 35, 45 years. Mom was a stay-at-home mom, did some secretary work. Definitely was not born with a silver spoon in his mouth, and worked his way up the ladder in a lot of different ways, a lot of different college debt, PhD, and now is a world-renowned mathematician, my dad. Has
He went from he went from being a railroad guy to being having his doctorate in some sort of math thing.
So my grandfather retired, 35, 45 years on the railroad. My dad, one of the things my dad and I'll never forget, actually, years and years and years ago, we were in high school. We were in some fight over something or whatever. And, being a teenager, I probably thought, oh, yeah, I've got this all figured out. And my dad said to me, and I'll never forget, you will never outwork me. And that has stuck with me. Not as in, like, I'm going to beat my dad, because I can't. Like, my dad his work ethic is absolutely through the roof when it comes to his jobs. But in terms of, like, you can always do something else. You can always add something else on. It's opportunity cost. It's a mathematical thing. But, you can always do something else to supplement this or to add to that or to save for this. There's always wiggle room. There's always extra time. And so that type of mentality is something I've always kept. And so currently right now, come January, I will get 5 either 1099 or W-2s from different businesses. So that's 5. Now, granted, one of them's YouTube and other things. But, that's a lot of time. And that's a lot of energy invested. But that's what I do, and that's what I feel like I have to do in order to keep a leg up and try to keep pushing forward monetarily. Because, newsflash for anybody who doesn't know, teachers don't make a whole lot of money. So
you're married with 2 kids.
Married with 2. I graduated at 21, got right out of college, started teaching. My wife and I got married when I was 23. We had our first kid by the time I was 24. So,
dude, I don't know how you work so much. Like, that blows my mind. Well,
teachers do get 3 months off. That helps during the summer. But
that makes sense. That makes sense. But it kind of messes up my, like, the perspective that I have of, well, but I guess you're saying that you're doing it voluntarily, because there's a lot of people that, like, they work 40 hours a week, and let's say they're making 35 or 40 grand a year, and they feel like that's enough to pay the bills, but it's not enough to get ahead. Then the easy answer for you is, well, go do something else too.
Go do something else.
Fascinating. Okay.
Go do something else. And that's what I've done, because, and I sent this in a text to you, in terms of what we've done. I've now been teaching 9 years. I have a 4-year bachelor's degree in order to be a teacher in the state of PA. And all that college time and everything, and we just are getting to a point where cumulatively we're making over $50,000, as a family. I'm working 5 jobs. My wife works a stay-at-home job, and so, like, that extra 10 grand, 11 grand, whatever it may be, over 35, over 40, that's huge.
Right.
That's helping. That's helping to pay the mortgage. That's helping so the kids can have a fun little vacation. We can go camping. We can do that. We can do the home renovations. That type of stuff. And that's helping us get a leg up, not only in savings, but also with the we live in a rural area of Pennsylvania, so home value doesn't go up by itself very naturally. So you have to do it yourself. So, like, we redoing a bathroom, painting the house, getting shutters on, it's all the little stuff that you're able to do, and we feel very comfortable able to do that because we have the extra, because we're willing to work for the extra.
But see, that's fascinating to me, because I think what you're saying is extra. I think there's a lot of people that would say, no, I can't get by on 50 a year. Like, and I know that we're talking to people that are in lots of different markets. Like, if you're in Denver, Colorado, or you're in Dallas, Texas, then that's probably different than being in rural Pennsylvania where you are. We don't have to go, like, specifically into numbers if you don't want to. So obviously, tell me
I
if
don't
I'm
care.
trying to get too
I'll
deep.
tell
Okay.
anybody
All right.
anything. Don't care at all.
What do you pay for your mortgage?
My mortgage, without me putting anything extra, we bought the house. This is a 3-bed, 2-bath, little red brick ranch here. Again, we're in the foothills of the
green brick ranch.
Well, it's green now, mostly. It's like 70% green. We paid $130,000 for this house. If you drive an hour to Penn State University in Center County in that area, this is easily a $200,000 home.
Yeah.
And it's very basic. I'm sitting in my basement with like a 7.5-foot ceiling. I barely fit.
Oh, we've all seen it. We know.
Yeah. It's painful. It's so painful. So right now my mortgage, without me putting anything on it, is about $900.
And that's your principal, interest, taxes, and insurance. I'm assuming that's all
everything.
Those rolled into one thing. $900.
Yeah, that's all rolled into one thing. Yep.
Okay. So what do you think houses in your neighborhood would rent for? Like if you owned another house in your neighborhood, what do you think that 3.2 rents for?
Oh, if I owned another house in my neighborhood, I wouldn't be able to rent it out.
Explain that.
Well, so where we're at, this is, like I said, when I say rural PA, I mean there's an elk range 15 minutes from my house, like a naturally occurring elk range 15 minutes from my house. So if you're renting out here, you're looking for everything included in your rent. That's water, sewage, trash, electricity, your cable, everything, less than $1,000.
Okay. So financially,
You're
it
looking
wouldn't
for that.
make sense. Like if we were talking about you investing in real estate in your area, it doesn't work.
No, it doesn't. There are certain outlying areas, but this is not a big enough population here. We have in our county about 76,000 people.
See, and I do think you can make rentals work in a county of 76,000. What we're also talking about, like if we're thinking about real estate in Nate's rural market, which I feel like there's a lot of guys that fit this category. It's not go pay $130,000 for a house and then try to rent it. In your area, it's go find something that needs a crap ton of work that you can buy for $50.
And they're all over the place.
Okay, all right. But
That's all over the place.
But statistically, like I just did some looking, Pennsylvania lost congressional seats, and the population over the last decade has only increased by it was 12.7 million, and it's just over 13 million in 10 years. So like given birth rate, you guys are not growing in the state really.
We are old.
So
We are old here.
So this may be tough with you because you're obviously talking about a lot of your work stuff is passion. Like you're a teacher because you're passionate about it. You work at an archery shop because you're passionate about it. Do you worry that you're trading like long-term security to kind of indulge some of those passions now? Have you ever thought about that?
Unpack that a little bit more.
What if you don't have enough money when you're 65 or 70 and you need to retire? Like what if just because of the choices that you've made now, you haven't been able to accumulate enough assets in order to take care of you when you're old, or you're living off of, very, very little. We texted about this a little bit before. Yeah. The concern about a teacher's pension if you do that your entire life. And, I know that the unions are strong, and I don't think it's not something where it's going to go to zero. I just get worried about inflation and your pension keeping up with inflation. Because let's say you have a pension right now that's going to pay you $35,000 a year, just whatever, we're just throwing out a number. And they're saying, okay, it's going to go up, 2% a year. Like the way our inflation is right now, I'm just worried for people that are on a pension because I think it's going to be a disaster. I think your purchasing power is just going to go down over time.
When the very first day that I got hired, and we're sitting there. Well, I should say the very first day I got hired. The very first in-service, we're sitting there, 2 or 3 days before kids come in, first day of school. I had a veteran teacher come up to me, and they said, you've started a Roth, right? Like not, hi, my name is Kathy, hi, my name is Steve. You started a Roth, right?
That's
and
awesome.
I knew of the Roth IRA, and I knew we don't have a 401k in education as a state employee. We have what's called a 403B.
Yeah.
I knew of these things. And I'm sitting there, and she goes, yeah, you should probably think about starting them. And I said, oh, yeah, I'll get to know. She's like, no, there's actually a person, right outside once this is over. And that's true. They bring in, at least in our district and in some of the surrounding districts, they bring in a person from a very teacher-heavy financing group, core. And they can set up a 403B or a Roth IRA right then and there for you.
Man, that's a huge deal. Like the fact that because you may have delayed, maybe it was a thing that you wanted to do, but the fact that you did it right, that he, she, whatever, made that recommendation, like that, you need to go buy that person a nice something.
Oh yeah,
fancy.
well, it's true backstory. She actually was one of my mentor teachers when I was coming up through college. So she actually, when you graduate or before you graduate, you have to do student teaching, and I student taught in kindergarten, and I absolutely loved it. And she was my mentor teacher. But we didn't talk about finance because you don't know where you're going to end up. And it just so happened I ended up 2 years later back at the same school. But in terms of that, like that was immediate. It was a Roth and a 403b. And right now, just based on only have one income, my wife's a stay-at-home mom. Eventually, she's also a teacher. She's also certified, so hopefully she'll get a job when the kids are able to both go back to school or both start school. But for right now, it's not a whole lot that's going into that, but it's there. And so that way, the moment I'm able to double, triple, quadruple, whatever, and go in there, it's going in there, and it's going in there automatically.
So I want to throw
no
out. I
questions
want to
asked.
throw out some numbers. I took some screenshots of a compound interest calculator that I found so fascinating. Compound interest is like, have you heard of the thing where people say, "Would you rather have $1 million or a penny doubled every day for 30 days?" And
I'm
you're
taking
like,
that penny, man.
Yeah. Because it looks terrible until the last like 3 days, and then all of a sudden it's just insane. So if you're able to basically put $500 up front into a Roth IRA, and then you contribute $100 a month over 30 years, and you earn 7% interest, and I'll put something up on the screen that's like showing these examples. At the end of the day, you've got $126,787. Okay. So if your house by then is paid for, and you don't have a whole lot else going on, and you've got the pension, then you're only technically supposed to be drawing off. I mean, and you've got Social Security, so maybe at the end of the day, you're really only supposed to be pulling off 4% of your basically that nest egg a year.
That's
which 4% on $100,000 is $333 a month, which is kind of depressing. Like, because $100,000 seems like a lot of money, but when you're only trying to take 4% off every month, $333 a month, that sucks.
Yeah. Like hard.
Yeah. So it makes all right. So let me go a little bit further here because basically so that first one was $500 initial deposit, $100 a month. Okay. If you can do that over 40 years, not 30. So the only thing we're changing, it goes to $272,000. So almost, I mean, basically doubles, which is pretty amazing. So like you as a 20-year-old, if you're going to teach till you're in your early 60s, but you're not going to touch this, then there's a chance it can go up that high. And a 7% interest rate, like a 7% return, you watch Dave Ramsey and he's like running math where you're getting 12% interest. I don't know if you listen to Dave Ramsey at all.
Oh, I did the whole Financial Peace University.
Okay. 12% is horse shit. Nobody who's not paying attention, like you can't get 12. You can't get 12 with the way things are right now. By the way, if you can hear like walking around in the background, my beautiful wife is riding one of her horses. So that's that noise, that kind of clip-cloppy sound in the background. Exactly.
Actually, I have 2 coconuts that are underneath. It's a little Monty Python over here.
That would be hilarious.
It's a European swallow.
You know what? I'm gonna admit something. I hated those movies. I know that's terrible. I know. I had a friend in high school.
I have to go 2 drinks after that.
He quoted them all the time, and he did the worst impressions. So when I finally watched it, I was like, I hate this because I kind of hated you. Ooh,
I can only ingest the Holy Grail. I can't do the other Monty Python. It's too much for me.
I love British comedy though. That's the thing. I love them.
Oh,
like the
Laurie
Mighty
and
Boosh.
Fry.
Yeah. All right, so let's get back on track here. If you deposit $500, same thing, and $100 a month, and we just change your time span to 20 years. So we started with 30 and it was like 130,000. We went to 40 and it was 250,000. If you've only got a 20-year time window, 54,000. That's why compounding is so freaking important. like giving yourself enough time. So all the young guys that are listening to this is why this is
You
imperative.
guys, the best time to get it was yesterday.
Yeah. So
like seriously,
so like tomorrow, after you get done watching this thing, whenever that is, like go, like it's such a big deal. And I don't, yeah. The guys that are in their 50s that are watching this are like, oh no.
But it's, and the thing is too, like, I know, like, I oversimplified it when I say that there was, the guy with the booth right out front, whenever we wrapped up the thing. But that's literally what it was. But when you go to then, so I later then went to go get my 403B, and I had to go to a firm. It still took me less than an hour. Yeah. It's not like it was it's not some super complicated, convoluted thing. They're like, listen, how much can you, like, are you able to do this? Let's work with your school district. For me, it's a school district, or most people, it's a 401k, it's your employer.
Yeah.
This, that, and the other thing. And it's a relatively painless process.
Yeah.
And starting now.
Yeah. And everybody should be able to do it. Like, I know that it's, even if you just go get the paperwork set up and literally start putting in like $20 a month to start, but you've taken that mindset of, this has become something that's important to me. It's like putting in for points when you're hunting. And that's one of the things that I think hunters are good at thinking long term. Like, you've got to put in for points so that you can draw the great tags in these different states. So people are literally thinking, like, it may be 20 years before I draw a moose tag in Montana, but I'm going to put in for it. Right. Like, so I think that hunters have the ability to think this stuff through and think long term and delay gratification, which is such a huge part of creating financial security for yourself.
Yeah.
All right, I want to do a couple more of these because I think they're fascinating.
Go ahead.
No, you're fine. If you, when your kids were born, took $500 a month, $500 initial deposit, did $100 a month for them, and they had 70 years before they retired. So basically, you started it for them. $564,000, and that's a 7% annual return, which is the net
very
return
normal.
Is doable. Like, that's very doable. And to be honest, that's how my dad started with me. They started investing for me when I was young. They put a chunk of money into some stocks, and then they had a change dish, because cash was obviously what everybody was using. And when the change dish, it was like this 2.5 foot tall vessel that was like this big around. And every night when Dad would come home, he'd take the change out of his pocket and dump it in there. And then he would take it to the bank, turn it into cash, and then put it in the stock market. And I got it whenever it got full, and then my sister got it whenever it got full for her. And that was how he started out. But he was investing for us so that he could show us, here's some of the small things that we're doing thinking about the future. And he would show me, like, when I was a kid, he would show me, here's where the stock market is, here's where your account is, and here's what this means. If it's going to earn this much over time, when you're 40 years old, here's what this looks like. I was super lucky to have parents that were willing to take the time to say, like, here's why we're doing what we're doing, and here's how we're doing it. Like, do you want to buy a piece of Coca-Cola? And I was like, hell yeah, I love Coca-Cola. And they were like, okay, let's put some money in Coca-Cola. Yeah. All right, I got to adjust my camera because I got the time limit, stupid Canon thing.
Oh, yeah.
I know. And I've got my ISO set, so I got to crank.
A Sony.
I got it. Dude, I was just out in... I was out in, when I was out in Idaho, Tim and Dan, they both run Sony stuff, and I was super jealous. And I'm going to talk about, like, my issues with camera gear, because honestly, I have a harder time with camera gear and feeling, like, very inadequate with my camera gear more than I do with, like, bows and archery stuff. Like, I get this, like, I was holding his A7S III, and then his A7C. Those two, what are you running?
I have an A7C.
Yeah, so A7C, and he had the same thing, and we did so much stuff on that A7C, and I was like, this is really, really nice. He had like a like a little lens diffuser on there that create these really nice highlight blooms. And
Oh, okay.
I'm
yeah.
super, I don't know.
I love the A7C. The thing for me is that I don't like we always talk about overbowing. I've over camera'd myself compared to what I can process. Like I don't have like the laptop that I have I've had since college. Now don't get me wrong, it's a really nice MacBook. It has good everything. It does exactly what I need to do for the type of videos that I have. But like if I'm gonna shoot like 4K 60, heck, even 4K 30, like it's 1080 for me. And then also like I can't run like DaVinci Resolve or Adobe Premiere or anything like that. So like color grading, it has to come out of the camera looking about 90% of the way there.
Yeah.
Because I can't touch it.
Yeah. See, but what I like, and this goes back to this whole financial thing, is you've over camera'd. So then the next thing at some point may be an investment into a computer, but you're ratcheting up slowly, but it seems like you're not.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it seems like you're not uncomfortable or unhappy with what you're doing. Like
No.
Yeah.
I have to because I was thinking about this earlier. Like, so for example, I tell this to everybody, this story, because I get asked a lot about like all the bows. They're like, how do you have all these bows? I'm like, I've been doing this almost 20 years. Like, this is a long time. Most of these things I bought used or new old stock. I have bought one brand new bow in my entire life. One brand new bow. But I always tell this story is that I have 3 cars in my driveway. All of them were created when Barack Obama was in his first term. And I have a 2010 Honda Fit that I have done everything in that car. I bought it brand new off the lot when I was 18 years old. I was working 30 hours a week, delivering pizzas, washing dishes, mowing lawns, whatever I could do. And I had $186 a month car payment. And I worked that thing off, and I rode it all through college, marriage, put my kids in the back seat. I can't tell you how much topsoil, mulch, dead deer, everything's been loaded in the back of this four-door.
Yes.
Seriously, go Google the Honda Fit. It's an ugly-looking car, but I drive a stick shift because it saved me even more money on the lot. So I've been driving a manual Honda Fit for 12 years almost. And I just recently was able to buy a truck because we got to a point where I hadn't had a car payment in 6 years. We had become financially stable in a lot of different ways, and YouTube kind of got to a point where it was able to offset a lot of the car payment. And so we both my wife and I looked at each other and said, hey, do we want to be tied into this car payment? Now, granted, like I said, it's used a 2011 F-150. It's a good shape, but do we want to be tied to this car payment for the next 5 years? Like, this is the decision we have to make, thinking way like this money's now gone for 5 years. Like, that's something you have to really think about. And we decided it was worth it, and it is, because now I can, now I can still take the kids in the cab, but I can also separate them from the blood and guts in the bed. So,
right.
So like that type of like literally thinking like in 5 years, like for 5 years we've lost this money that we could be putting into the savings, or we could be putting in 403b, or we could be putting into home renovations or whatever it may be. So like having that foresight, again, I give that to my dad in particular. My mom as well is also very good with it, but my dad really, really have to think of the end before the beginning.
So tell me more about the financial education that you got. Wait, we can compete. Tell me more
Is
about
yours also organic?
Yeah, dude, mine's all corn. Like, look at that.
It's all
but this was made. This is corn before corn was GMO corn. This is like
super fruit punch, no sugar added. Hey, it even says "Honest Kids" on it. Man.
Your drink sounds, I gotta be honest, it sounds less fun than mine.
It's less fun.
I love it. Tell me about did you guys talk about finances growing up? Like, what was the conversation in y'all's house?
So I'm the oldest of 5 kids. There were 7 of us in the home, and my dad was the only income. And my mom was a stay-at-home mom. She was phenomenal. She homeschooled a lot of us. We traveled a lot for my dad to make money with jobs, and we never wanted necessarily, but we didn't. There's a lot of hand-me-down clothes in my house, a lot of trips to Goodwill. But we were taught very well to be very content with what you have, because there are people that are in way worse situations than you, some by choice because they make poor monetary decisions, and some by just because of the situation that they were put into. And so that was really pounded into me. And then going all along with the work ethic stuff with it, like, if you want your situation to get better, you have to go make it better. I tell my own kids here in the house, you have to be the problem solver. No one's going to solve your problem for you. If you, I can't get my sock on, well, figure out how to put your sock on.
Yeah.
You're 4, like, you're fine. You figure it out. And so that type of independence and learning through, I remember when I was a kid, I wanted a Lego set. My brother and I wanted a Lego set, and it was $20. I remember we looked at it in a magazine. My mom said, all right, this is $20 that you guys aren't going to have anymore. And if you don't like the Lego set, tough. We got the Lego set, and it was terrible. It was nothing like what was in the magazine. And that has stuck with me to this day.
Wow.
Obviously. And I was like, okay, I should probably think about my buying decisions long and hard before I make them, because you can't get it back, once it's gone. And in particularly if you're in a situation where you can't recoup quickly the money that you lost, like, you really have to think about that long term. So that was really pounded into us. And I of all the kids, being the oldest, I worked all through high school. I worked all through college. I lived at home, so I didn't have a party life necessarily. It was pretty boring. I've always joked with my wife that I've been a 35-year-old dad for about 20 years.
You do seem like an old soul. Yeah.
I'm an old soul. Old soul.
Yeah. I get that. No, I get that.
I had my T-shirt tucked into my jeans all through like 8th grade, through like freshman year of college.
And your white New Balance sneakers.
Dude, I'm not exaggerating. I wore white New Balance sneakers for most of college.
I had nothing wrong with any of that.
Didn't matter, man. It's not like I was getting any fun party action. I did. I worked. I waited tables and washed dishes, whatever I needed to do in order to keep myself occupied and to keep myself employed. And when I came out of college, I had way more money than I ever thought I would have as a kid coming out of college. And was able to, like I said, make car payments and do that type of stuff. So it's always a long-term monetary thought, and that, helps out with stuff like this down here too.
Yeah. Do you feel like, do you guys worry about money? Like, is it a thing that you guys have worry about?
We did when we first started having kids, and, I was making less than $40,000 a year, and we were trying to pay rent, which was pretty high where we were currently living at the time before we moved out here. And we worried about it then. In terms of the long-term worry, we didn't worry about it. I worry more about it now that I have kids, because I really, I'm really looking at them and going, how can I'll never be able to do like what my parents did just based on the type of job that I have compared to what they did, but how can I help them the same way that my folks helped me? I've worried about that, but in terms of like, if I got fired tomorrow, would we be okay for a year? Yeah, we would.
That's awesome.
We would definitely be okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, we would definitely be okay.
See, that's fascinating to me. But I think that what this points to is that you guys are very wise with the finances that you have. Like, you're not being reckless, because you easily could have gone out and gotten an $800 truck payment. And that's still a used truck. That's the thing. A 5-year note at 4% on a freaking $45,000 truck, which is a used truck, is $800 a month for 5 freaking years. Like, that's bonkers. And then you've got a brand new truck, so your wife wants something fancy. So you go get her like
so she was driving a 2007 Pontiac Vibe. If you ever seen one of those driving around, high five that person.
At least it's not an Aztec. The Aztec,
dude. The air conditioning, the AC condenser went out. The car was worth about, I think like $1,700 or $1,600, and the AC condenser went out on it. We took it to a mechanic, and he's like, dude, for me to replace it's gonna cost more than what the vehicle's worth. So my pregnant wife, with other child in the back seat, drove that thing around for almost an entire summer.
Oh my
gosh. She said, babe, I can't do it anymore. And I said, all right. So we ended up buying her a Honda CRV. So that'll last for a while. That's the other thing too. Like, don't buy stuff that's not going to last. That's another thing too. Like if you really want to, you know, like I said, I have 2 Hondas in my driveway. They're going to go until literally the frames rust off. We're in the Rust Belt up here in PA, and the truck won't see that many miles. So it'll, it's got 100,000 right now, but it'll last me a very long time.
Right.
So
yeah, that's another one that's fascinating. I have 2 friends that bought Range Rovers, and Range Rovers, they're pieces of shit. Like, they're just...
like rolling piles.
They're literally just... I know, you don't have to say it, and I'll bleep it out. But, like, they're giant pieces of crap. And it doesn't make any sense to me because they're not the kinds of people that they want to look bling bling. But what I'm getting from this conversation is that you guys have just been practical with what you have. All right, so... are you happy? Like, are you happy? Are you joyful? Are you peaceful?
I'm joyful. I wish my kids fought less, and particularly in public.
Yeah.
But outside of that, I go to sleep. I go to bed and I'm out in 2 minutes or less every single night.
That makes
mostly
me,
because I was up till like 1 a.m. watching YouTube. But
Yeah. Well, you got to keep up on all the latest trends, and you got to figure out who's arguing over. I
got to, man.
Yeah, no, I get it. I do the same thing. So, and that's where there may be some divergence of, like, I feel like there's some people that aren't, maybe they've made bad financial decisions or they made reckless financial decisions, but like the car payment thing. You make a reckless, you go buy a new car, and your new car makes perfect sense to me. That dollar amount of car payment makes perfect sense to me. But I know that there's a lot of people that are in your shoes that want the jacked up truck, that go buy the jacked up truck and end up having an $800 to $1,200 a month payment. And they've locked themselves in for 5 years to a decision that is literally like an anvil around their neck.
Yes.
And you're not doing that.
No, the hardest thing, and that's going back to Dave Ramsey, is like getting rid of all, and then of course, we end up adding the truck, but like being out of debt, like even if you're not saving, being out of debt is like the biggest just weight off of one's shoulders. Like not having a car payment when I just had the little Honda for 5 or 6 years. Like that's just like, oh yeah, there's that thing that I own. Like there's not a lot of people, like I have so many friends, both in the education field and elsewhere, that are leasing vehicles, which I just want to cry every time I hear them. Like, oh, so you just rent continuously for like $400 a month until you die? Like what? Who wants to do that? Yeah. And so,
I mean, it's tough.
It's that type of stuff.
But you have decided to keep your vehicles long term, which is another thing. Like if you're one of those people. This is fascinating. I have a car payment. I have an $800 a month car payment. You know why?
No, I don't.
Okay,
tell me.
I'll tell you why. I took the amount of cash that I had, that I was going to pay cash for the car, and I put it in an investment vehicle that I have that produces $400 more a month than the car payment. So at the end of the time, I will have a paid off car. I will have paid interest, but I will still have the $45,000 that I paid for the Toyota 4Runner. So it's interesting. I have a car payment, you have no car payment. But because of what I do for a living, and I know that I can generate a greater return, I have made that decision to run it that way.
So this leads to a question that I had off your latest video. I have to ask you this one. There was the line that said your goal is to become the white collar that manages the blue collar, right? That manages the people. Serious question, as someone who literally manages a classroom of 30 little miscreants, plus the miscreants in my own home, baseball field, people that come into the shop. I'm a constant PR nightmare. Do you think that everybody actually has the ability to manage people?
No.
Okay.
I don't.
I have to ask because there are great people Like, there are great people that I know that could manage people, no problem, and they do not want to touch it with a 10-foot pole. They want to go be the plumber, be the carpenter, be the general contractor, be the whatever, landscape or whatever it may be, and they do not. They have the greatest people skills. They can get up and talk, give a speech, whatever, but they don't want to touch it with a 10-foot pole.
Which is one of the reasons that I wanted to talk to you, because you do a fantastic job of living within your means. And I feel like a lot of the blue collar guys that are making 50 grand a year are not doing that. But it's got to be a conscious decision, because you are signing up for 50 grand a year one year, and then maybe you get to 51.5 next year, and then maybe you get to 52.7 the next year. Like, that's what you have signed up for.
Yeah.
Unless you decide to go, whatever, get your master's, or get your doctorate, or start teaching at private schools, or move to a different area where the teachers are paid more, and maybe you can move the equity that you've created in your house because you've paid it down, but you can take that equity and put it elsewhere. Because I totally agree with you. I totally agree that moving from blue collar to white collar, maybe not everyone's desire, or you're right, capability wise. I went and sat with a homeless dude today, because I'm gonna make a documentary on homeless people, because I'm fascinated by homeless people, dude.
Yes.
I don't know why.
Fascinates the crap out of me.
I know.
I think it's the most unique. Some of it is a literal life decision.
Yes.
I think it's fascinating.
Yeah. So I sat with a guy that, as of 2017 in Nashville, was arrested 574 times in Nashville. His name's Robert. And
good job, Robert.
I sat down on the front porch of the Tiger Market, which is a gas station down in Nashville, and I sat next to him, and he drank his Budweiser, outside of the bag at 9 a.m. I went and ran through the Chick-fil-A drive-thru. I gave him a Subway gift card, and I sat down and just started talking to him, man. And it was like, I don't know, it's just fascinating. It's fascinating, because you have this guy on one end of the spectrum, and then you have guys like Jeff Bezos, who, and I'm not talking about, like, Jeff Bezos has just been able to manage a company that he has created something so large, and the intricacies of everything. They deliver almost every product that you can fathom all throughout the United States. Like, the network that he had to create, the people that he had to put in place to create this giant business that he created, that's a skill set that I don't have. It's truly a skill set that I don't have. But I don't think there's anything wrong with telling somebody who is a plumber that if they don't want to plumb anymore, that they have gained a bunch of knowledge on being a plumber, and if they can pass that knowledge down to other people, and then start focusing on going and getting more plumbing jobs, and then going and checking the work of those employees, which that's a huge issue I'm having now. I'm having people that, because there's so much work in Nashville, I'm having guys that decided to go from blue collar to white collar. Like, perfect example, the painter that I hired for the last job. He's a great painter, technically a really good painter. He understands what it means to control the brush, to cut in. He understands what an issue with the drywall is going to look like after it's done, so he'll hit that little piece of drywall. He understands those things. But what he didn't do was teach his guys how to do it, and then he didn't check their work at the end. So what I got was a product that I was used to having from him as a technician, to now a total crap product, because he's paying these guys $12 an hour, and then showing up 2 weeks after the job, he said it was going to be done. And I had the conversation with him, like, so this was not a great transition for you as a customer. Like, as a customer, I need you to at least go check their work, and I need you to continue to explain to these guys what you see so that they can start to see it. I don't expect perfection, but I also expect you to be working at night to correct those things. When you tell me it's going to take 5 days to get a job done, Like, the transition is exactly what you're doing. It's not easy. You're working as a teacher during the day. You're umping games, and you're working as an archery guy. As an archery guy on occasion. I don't know how often you're working at the shop, but like, you work your butt off, and you're a dad and a husband, and you have a YouTube channel, dude. Like, I don't know how much you sleep at night. I couldn't do what you do. That's crazy,
very little,
man.
Very little.
Crazy.
Well, see, the thing is, when you, and this is not a good excuse to have kids, but when you have kids, you learn to live on 3 hours of sleep. Like 3 hours, like you get 3 hours of uninterrupted sleep, like your life just goes upside down. I mean, you don't even know what to do with yourself.
You know what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna pay somebody to live with us full time, to take the kids from 11 p.m. to 7 a.m.
That's the best time, though.
Why?
You can sit there with an infant. Just visualize this for a second. You could sit there with an infant strapped to your chest to one of those baby carriers, and then you get one of those giant exercise balls, and then you just sit there on the exercise ball watching late night hockey on television, just doing this.
I gotta be honest.
Watch the Vancouver Canucks play the Los Angeles Kings at 1 o'clock in the morning, and you're just,
Because we don't have kids, so I don't know how it's gonna go. I know I've watched my two business partners have kids and grow their families and be able to grow and be able to grow the business, and it's been and both of them are great dads. Like the two guys that I'm partners with, one of them, his wife is a marriage and family therapist, and their family time, like what he explains to me and then what we see in public is so special. I'm super jealous of it.
Yeah. I'll tie this back into what we were saying earlier about, the people not managing and practical. And it is a lot to manage, and there are times where I just drop the ball in one of them. I either get
that's life,
YouTube
man.
videos.
Yeah,
that's life. YouTube videos crap, but I'll say this is like the whole thing. Every single aspect of it is a job, and that's kind of the way like I try to mentally think of all of it. Whether it's being a husband, whether it's being a dad, working all the different jobs, it is a job, and there are people therefore, because it's your job, that are going to hold you accountable. Like if I make a crap YouTube video, people are going to tell me it was crap. If I'm being a jerk to my wife, she's going to tell me I'm being a jerk. If my kids want more time, they're going to follow me around the house, say, "Daddy, will you do this? Daddy, do that?" And so like, approaching it like that and always thinking that like there's always a next, teaching, actually, of all the jobs that I have, teaching's actually the least job feeling for me, because it's just something that I just do. I just really enjoy teaching. But no one follows me around and say, "Hey, did you get that math sheet done today? Did you make sure you taught this lesson?" No one does that. But the other aspects that you really have to focus on to keep the whole train moving together, like if the moment I start treating it like a job and make sure I'm always performing the way my boss thinks I should, it just, I don't know, it simplifies it for me, and it makes it a lot easier for me to do everything correctly, focus the appropriate amounts of time, and live within my means.
See, this is the problem though, is you're a well-tuned machine. Like that's the problem. You've got this.
Yes.
You've got
just. It looks like a well-tuned machine.
Well, look at the guns. I mean, you've even got time to get out there and work.
No, I don't work out at all. This is all on camera. This is all a facade. This is a marshmallow. This
is all lighting.
This is all lighting. It's actually my toilet paper over the light diffuser that I sent you. Oh yeah. It's great.
I love that. I love it.
Yeah, it's fantastic. No, this is all. When you tan it, it looks more muscular.
I get it.
So go outside.
Go outside and paint your own house.
Go outside and paint your own house.
Yeah.
It's like I literally feel like I'm on fire. Like I'm still burnt.
Yeah.
But no, I mean, yeah, I don't know. I like to think that I have it under control. My wife always says, like, I don't know how you always have all this energy. And that's true. Like, from the moment I'm able to get up and get a cup of coffee in me, until midnight, 1 o'clock in the morning, I'm ready to roll. Like, I'm just that kind of person.
You're just a super high output person.
Yeah.
So what do you do if you're not Nate Sellers, Average Jack Archery, high output person? You have so many jobs. Dude, I'm not joking. I refuse to do what you do. I refuse. I could not do it. Like I would mentally I'm a fat person. Like mentally I'm a fat person. A real big fat person. Like I have no mental.
Yeah, but then I watch I watch you go do the elk-shaped videos with that crew, and I watch you do the workouts and stuff like that, and I just start sweating profusely because I haven't picked up a weight since college. Like it's like been a decade.
If you really watched the video, you would have seen that my ass was struggling. Dude,
been worse.
Being with Dan and his wife, like they have a CrossFit gym at their house, and I texted Dan and I was like, hey man, I want to go like see the Spokane Mountains. Do you want to go do some backpack cardio with me? And he was like, yeah, come over. And I was like, okay, I thought we'd meet somewhere.
Yeah.
You seem more efficient than that. And then his wife just kicked my ass for 15 minutes. Like we went back there, she's benching more than I'm benching, doing all the reps. Like she's spotting me, and I'm so embarrassed. Like she's looking down at me with judgment. Like, come on, you can do this. You're 6'3", I'm 5'6", and I'm a female. You know, like, oh, it was embarrassing, and it was glorious.
Yeah.
No, but this is another thing though. You know what you're capable of. You know what you're capable of, but how long do you want to do this? Like, how long do you want to bust your ass like this?
I can't think of a better way to spend my time.
Okay. That's super valid, man.
Like if I'm going to be doing nothing, I might as well be doing something productive. Or nothing. If I'm going to be doing, let me think of this way. Like if I'm going to come down here to like my shop.
Yep.
And just fiddle fart around with bows, I might as well be fiddle farting around with somebody else's bow and make $20 setting up that guy's bow. If I'm going to go out and mow my lawn, I might as well just take the extra half hour, because who doesn't have an extra half hour, right? And just go mow my neighbor's yard and make $20 or whatever it is.
Yeah.
I have, like I said, I have 4 younger brothers and sisters. My youngest brother, Michael, is probably the most driven person I've met in my entire life. If you think that I have energy, Michael has lived all over the country, has done every single job, runs about 8 different jobs at once, and he probably sleeps 2 hours a day. Like he is insane. Like every time I think, oh yeah, I'm really good. I'm really good at doing this. I just think, oh, that's right. Michael's probably like, oh, and he works out. Like he fits workouts in between. That's the one thing I don't touch. Like I deliberately avoid any exercise. Except for the hunting stuff, but yeah. So I don't know. Like I want to do this until it doesn't make physical or emotional sense anymore. But I don't see when that will be. I don't see when.
I love that you said that, but hold on. My Canon camera is demanding attention currently. So I'm
just should have got a Sony.
Oh, I know. I want to order one so bad. But it's almost like admitting that you messed up. Like it's like buying a I'm trying to think of a bow brand that I want to crap on right now. Okay, I won't crap on a bow brand. It's like buying a bow brand and then being really sad that you bought that bow and then going and buying a new one.
As somebody who has bought all the brands, with the exception of like 2, there's got to be one.
I'm not going to say it.
No,
you know what? All right, let's talk about archery for 2 seconds.
I know, like 2. Okay.
Just because I feel like we have to talk about it a little bit. I am so impressed with all the bows this year. Like, I wish I would have bought a Bowtech Solution. I wish that I would have bought the V3. I have the Prime Nexus 4. I have the, I wish I would have bought the Elite stuff. Like, everything is so good right now. The only
it was so bizarre. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know what happened. Like, I don't know. To me, the competition gap from last year to this year all of a sudden just got like... The Nexus, I'm shooting the Hoyt, the Ventum 33 right now.
Love the Cold 140.
Yeah. I gotta be honest.
Good.
I didn't know how that was gonna turn out, and that was legit. I didn't go shoot that thing and then go shoot it again, then go shoot it again.
I don't care if you shot it at 80, cold anything. That was pretty legit.
It was, dude. That bow feels great, man. And I did not like Hoyt for the last 4 years.
Well, I mean, Yeah, like as someone who works with these things daily and answers messages, I mean, I'm sure you get your fair share of them as well because you actually like literally have the bows in front of you. But as someone who works on a plethora of these and has worked on them for, over a decade, like that gap that you're referring to, it was always Matthew, back in the earlies, it was like Matthews, Hoyt, and everybody else. And then it was kind of like Matthews, and then like if you're into Bowtech, if you're into Elite, and if you kind of like the spongy back walls of Hoyt's, that's kind of your thing. And now, like, Prime's making some excellent stuff. They started making excellent stuff probably about 2015. Now they're right up top there. Matthew's Scores is still really good, but that whole gap, and everybody has found their niche too. Like, everybody was kind of trying to do the same thing and try to match each other. Everybody in their own niche is just doing so well. I really did like them all. Like, I really, really was really impressed with a lot of them.
But I did like that Hoyt was like, okay, we kind of suck right now. Who do we want to be? And they were like, we can't take the Bowtech. We can't do the Bowtech tech because all of it's patented and we're going to get sued. Let's Matthews. Let's do it. And they did. And that's why I like it, man. I like it.
The fact that I think it's funny that like everybody has gone now to some flavor of binary cam system.
It makes so much sense to me.
I've been saying this for years. Like, as hideous to like shim and tune as 2-track binary cams are, like that's as bare bones basic as it gets. Like it's identical top and bottom. It's a normal looking thing. Everything's simple to tune. Blah blah. The moment that Matthews gets rid of the floating yoke system, I will love them forever because they make a phenomenal boat. But the fact that I have to drop the axle in order to change the strings is a righteous pain in the butt.
It is. I totally get that. The other thing is the zebra strings that they still come with. Have you been messing with those a bunch this year because of issues? I don't want to hear about all the other issues that you've been having with Matthews. I just want you to tell me about the strings.
No, like the issues that I have with Matthews is the strings, and it started with the VXR. So what had that been? 2019.
Yeah, it was last year. No, the VXR was last year.
Or no, the Traverse. That had been 2019.
Okay,
whatever the 2019.
Yeah, that was.
It started, and it was just a few, and their Target stuff was fine. They're like the TRX-38 and that type of stuff. But yeah, for some reason, the zebra strings, like I'll sit there and play with a peep twist, just putting it through the bow, putting it through the drawboard, doing everything, and it just whoop, twist it back up. Here we go. Whoop. I'm like, how many twists do I got to put into the daggum thing? And of course, I feel bad. If it was me in the home shop, I wouldn't worry about it. But for the customer who's sitting there waiting for me to finish his $1,000 bow that he's been waiting for 6 weeks for because it's custom color,
Dude, it's more than 1,000 and it's way more than 6 weeks.
Well, okay, you know what I'm saying.
I get you.
It's like 16 weeks now. It's really bad. The whole
are they that behind? Well, you know what? I know that everybody is, and I know no. I know it's not just Matthews, and dude,
it's everybody. I'll tell you this. So we were told by a major bow manufacturer that they were making a shipment. We are still getting parts of shipments that we made at the ATA show in January, the virtual ATA show.
Yeah.
It's July. So we're 7 months away from the biggest order. I mean, that's the biggest order of the year. So COVID's really ruining it. But we were told probably a couple weeks ago, 2-3 weeks ago, that anything that wasn't black or stone or olive or the standard camo colors that they have in, if they wanted like a special color limb, that it wasn't going to ship until the 3rd week of August.
And I know for a fact, like, I've watched some videos on supply chain, just general supply chain issues for the country right now. And I wonder if people know how fragile our economy is when it comes to this kind of stuff.
Just-in-time delivery.
It's exactly right, man. That's exactly right. Just-in-time delivery has made it so, and then it's the misexecution of just-in-time by so many different companies. There are cargo ships that have been sitting off the coast of California for weeks because they can't get in to drop their supply because there's not enough guys that are working at the dock. There's not enough truck drivers that are dropping stuff off. And because we have such a trade deficit with other countries, we don't have to go into that. But the issue is there are more empty shipping containers in the United States than there are in other parts of the world, and they can't get other shipping containers built. We need to ship them back, but it's so inefficient to just ship empty containers back. I don't know, dude.
Yeah, you don't deadhead containers.
We're going to be fighting this for a couple of years, I think. I think that we're going to see these crazy ups and downs. Like the lumber market for me as a builder is a huge deal.
Yeah. Oh yeah, and it's as someone who's in the YouTube realm, and as someone who doesn't like to pay people to fix stuff in his house, I can't tell you how many different people that work in the lumber or the drywall or that type of industry just so I can fix my own house. But more importantly, now they've all kind of gotten to the point where like they're framing stuff with 2x3s. Like, do you know how illegal, for those of you who don't understand, 2x4 construction, then you have to match like 2x4 and 2x6 construction, first floor, second floor, basement, all that sort of stuff. Like, yeah, it's like, it's comical where that's at. And I think if the lumber price does get really, I think there's a lot of people though waiting to build stuff. So like if we can get stuff, then maybe, supply and demand here for those of you doing microeconomics, I think might be okay, but it is scary.
It's a problem I wish we didn't have to deal with, because I think that it messes up people that are wanting to buy houses right now. By the way, again, I apologize because now my neighbors are launching fireworks. It's July 5th. People are getting all crazy. I'm sure Nate can't hear it because I'm using the headphones, but like...
It's the whole 4th of July month. This is America.
I got to admit, I wish I would have bought more fireworks. When we were launching them last night at Jocelyn's grandparents', I wish I would have bought a bunch more.
Yeah.
Yeah, because we ran out in like 10 minutes, and I was like, oh, no.
Yeah. Oh, no.
Yeah. I know. For some reason, everybody can get fireworks because stuff's coming from China. It's no problem. No, I'm sure that I know. All right. So what haven't we talked about with finances? The issue that I'm having right now is you're just a super high, ridiculous high output guy who understands the boundaries of exactly what you have created for yourself, and you are super content in that. And I feel exactly the same way. So did we help anybody?
I don't know. I don't know. As a parting-ish thought, I will say like one of the big things that like is really cool, like knowing to super high output, trying to saving, putting away, investing, etc. Like knowing to live within your means. When you have that goal, like instead, like again, there's this like right now, like Amazon, right? I can get it shipped to my door in 2 days, right? I could have it right now. But like that satisfaction of knowing that like this was like a 5-year plan, this was a 10-year plan, this was a 2-year or even 2 weeks, whatever it is, whatever length of time you need to save it. Like I could not be more ecstatic that there is a pickup truck in my driveway. Yeah. I have been waiting a decade to put a pickup truck in my driveway, and we finally got to that point where that was feasible and that was right and it was the smart decision. And like I said, if I got fired tomorrow, I would not be there with that $800 truck payment. And even if I was, I would be okay because I've already planned it. And that 5-year plan, that 10-year plan, like that, the satisfaction of knowing that I did it and I did it right and it wasn't an impulse thing. I understand my means. Like that is something that like that gets me all kinds of fired up.
Dude, that makes me so happy, man. Like that makes me so happy. You understanding exactly the choices that you've made and then being able to execute financially around those decisions. That's a huge takeaway for me. Cuz you're exactly right. Like I think that and you can ask my wife, like I'm a pusher. I'm like, "Hey, you should do this." Like I want to tell you to move the hell out of Pennsylvania, and I want to tell you to go buy something somewhere else, and I want you to go be a teacher at a private place that's paying you $75,000 a year. But if that's not the thing that's truly going to bring you joy and make you happy, why would I tell you to do that?
Right.
You have taught me
Couldn't agree more.
You have taught me things, Mr. Average.
Just average things.
Mr. Jack, Mr. Sellers.
Mr. Jack, Mr. Sellers.
No, dude, it's fascinating. I think that I think there's a lot of people that are probably that probably will watch this and will think to themselves, well, shit, I have an $800 a month truck payment.
Oh no, I have a Range Rover in my
I have a
driveway.
Range Rover.
I didn't know it was a steaming pile of junk. What do you mean? Just wait till the water pump goes out about the first 20,000 miles, then you'll find out.
My father-in-law is like a brilliant mechanic, and he explained to me at one point, because I wanted one, he explained to me why there were such turds, and I was like, but they're beautiful. They're beautiful works of art. And he was like, yeah, that's fine. Just have you a backup freaking 2011 Ford F-150 is what you need.
Yep. And I'll tell you, and I have to tell you this now because it just jogged my dad, right? My dad is making money like he's printing it in his own house, right? He's at this point now in his mathematical career and where he's at and everything towards the end of retirement. And he wanted to buy a sports car, right? Kind of like a retirement sports car. I want this and he has more means to pay cash for it if he wanted to. And so he went to his trusted blue-collar mechanic and said, hey, is this a smart monetary decision for me to buy this vehicle? And I forget what vehicle he was looking at purchasing.
Oh, I really want to know.
And I want to say it was a really high-end BMW, Audi, something like that. It wasn't like a Ferrari, but it was a very high convertible, very nice vehicle. I remember we looked at it, and his mechanic said, well, you better have a backup car because it's going to be in the shop all the time. And so my dad went out and bought a brand new Toyota Corolla.
Oh. You should have pre-ordered one of the new Corvettes.
He could, he could have gone and bought a Mustang, which would have been a much better, more serviceable vehicle. He could have gone and bought a Dodge something. He could have bought a really fancy Toyota or Honda this. No, he just bought a Toyota Corolla. Now it's got heated seats and leather interior in it. But and again, he saved probably 2/3 the cost, and he's still driving that car, 6 years later. This is a man who, even now, with all the financial means that he has, still understands to make the smart decision and to still live with that, because you never know. So,
are you on a track to do what your dad has done? Like, do you feel like the track that your dad has taken, where why is your dad making a bunch more money than you're making?
So my dad doesn't have a teaching degree. My dad has a degree in mathematics, which then he went on to get his master's and PhD with. My dad also studies it's called discrete mathematics. He studies a very
He builds bombs for the CIA. That's what.
Yeah,
he builds
basically,
bombs
it's
for the
basically
CIA.
he builds bombs for the CIA. Yeah, he has a niche of the field of mathematics and has traveled all over we've lived in England and Austria as he's gone and done research with some of these universities, and so he has a very niche thing in that regard, and he's worked his way up the ladder to be the dean of the College of Math at University of Minnesota Duluth, and so that's where he's at. Me with a teaching degree, I'm just a teacher, but as Peter McKinnon, who says, I'm just a YouTuber, I hate that phrase. I hate the I'm just a teacher. I'm not. And so I love doing what I'm doing. There's a lot of pressure also being in that high position, and I like the lack of pressure, if you will, to perform. I just prefer to just keep doing.
Ooh, now this is interesting.
Yeah. I don't know. If you look at, I teach middle school English. What do you expect of me? Right? I teach middle school English. You expect me to break up fights, keep the kids from their hair setting on fire, and to teach English to kids who don't want to be taught anything. Right? If I do those things, I'm happy, they're happy, let's enjoy ourselves and have a good time. Making a good YouTube video, right? I'm here talking head. If I don't have beautiful transitions and the B-roll's not twisty and the color grade's a little off, who cares?
That's not this kind of video.
Yeah, I'm not.
Although, check this out right now. I'm
not Josh Yo. Yeah.
Just
dude. Sparkles up on the screen.
Josh Yo, man,
dude.
that guy.
Dude.
It takes him 6 months to put a video out, though.
You have no idea how much I binge
ridiculous,
YouTube.
Man.
I'll go from watching Jeff Thorman doing home renovations up in Canada to Josh Yo, to Peter McKinnon, to yours. I mean, I'm all over the map. My watch later list right now is 4 hours long.
Yeah,
That's stuff I got to keep up.
See, but I love that. I love that too because I do the same thing. Like I have a lot of diversity in the stuff that I'm watching. Like right now, it's been Soft White Underbelly, which is a guy who interviews homeless people and prostitutes and pimps and like. Again, it's just, but what we're doing is we are observing humanity in a way that we have never been able to do before. Like literally 40 years ago, your ability to watch somebody do home renovations in Canada, or Peter McKinnon, who, you know, a fantastic photographer, a wonderful, I don't know if he's a filmmaker, maybe kind of.
He's a philanthropist.
Yeah.
I'd give him that.
But dude, I love watching his stuff. Like I love watching it. Casey Neistat. Did you ever watch Casey Neistat stuff?
Yeah.
Man, I loved watching Casey. But listening to his interviews now, it makes me so sad to hear what he gave up. He said his marriage almost broke up because he was sacrificing so much of his everything to do a YouTube video every day. He would do a 10-minute video every single day. And he did it for almost 3 years, and it like almost destroyed his life.
Yeah.
You're so balanced, like with what you're doing, but it's because know thyself. Like it's some Nietzsche stuff. Like you know yourself.
Yeah. It's yin yang.
And you are executing based on the knowledge of yourself. That's
deep.
Dude, you do it. Like you live it, man. I love that.
Hashtag deep.
Hashtag deep. Hashtag know yourself. Hashtag Nietzsche. Man, I don't know where I wanted this to go, but it went great.
But we're here
places. Now. I love it. I'm super happy, man. And I wish we lived close to each other because I would just, I'd just go hang out.
It's so funny you say that because I was just thinking today, like all these people that I've gotten to be friends with over COVID or over just in general that I've never met before, but I feel like I've known for like years.
Yeah. Like
you're just in my phone as Brandon McDonald. Like that's just a thing. It's not like Brandon McDonald, like, oh my gosh, he's a YouTuber. It's just like, yeah, he's just this guy that, you know, that we talk archery and we have Zoom calls.
Yeah.
You know,
but dude, it's great, man.
Yeah.
No, I appreciate the relationship that we have too. And truthfully, what I have learned, because I'm just like, you're much further into the YouTube world than I am. And
you'll get there.
I hope.
You're well on your way.
Well, but here's why I hope. Because I get to have conversations with guys like you that are motivated. And like going and doing stuff with Ranch Fairy. He's motivated. And going and doing stuff with PNW Huntress Sarah Gamache. She's motivated to do stuff. And it's a bunch of people that are grabbing life by the freaking balls and rocking it. Like all the elk-shaped guys. I'm going to do hopefully an interview with Donnie Vincent because I've been talking to Donnie Vincent. And dude, like I'm a fanboy. Like that's going to be like, I'm going to spend the first 5 minutes of the video just like exactly, just like that. Because he hit me up early on and was like, man, I really like the little tiny janky YouTube videos that you're making. And I see some potential here. And I want to make films. Like I want to make hunting films.
Yeah.
I want to create like, I don't know, man. I want to create stuff. I want to create beauty. I want to create things that people want to watch for the next 100 years.
Yeah.
And I don't know why. I just want that. But it's created such motivation in my life. Like the mere mortal archery stuff that I'm going to do. Like
so awesome, dude.
It's so selfish. It's so selfish because it makes me feel so good.
But that's what it is.
It makes me feel so good.
That's the thing, right? That is what exactly what I'm getting to. Like, it just makes, like, I don't make a lot of money, but it just makes me feel so daggum good. And like I say in all the videos, like I live to help people. Like that's literally, like all my jobs that I have are helping people. There's not a single job that I do where I'm not helping people.
And you know what I'm noticing across the board? The consistency of people that are truly fulfilled and happy in life are helping other people.
Yep.
They're helping other people. And again, it's some Nietzsche. because if you go look up Nietzsche and gratitude, he says it's selfish. Like Nietzsche and charity.
Yeah.
He says that it's selfish, but like I think it's something that is built into certain people's DNA, and we get so bogged down with the Range Rover will make me happy. But the truth is, service will make you happy. Service will bring joy to your life, and service will make you feel fulfilled. And it is so evident in you. And the mere mortal stuff makes me so excited. Like when I put the Traverse in the box the other day and I mailed that out to a guy and he's going to call me before he opens it, I want to watch his face as he opens that. And the sacrifice that he has made and given. Oh, dude, I'm so... I will wake up in the morning tomorrow morning excited, hoping that tomorrow is the day that bow gets to him.
I know. When that trailer dropped of the release of Mere Mortal Arch, I was like, oh, this
Dude.
right here. I think I even commented like, this is what we need. I forget what I called, but like I literally was looking. I was like, yes, this is exactly right. Like that's something. Like if I had the time and the means, like that kind of cool stuff. But that kind of philanthropy just gets you going.
The amount of service though that you're doing, like, are you kidding me? Like we are.
But like that kind of stuff, like I have great
to your level of service though. That's what I'm saying. No, like
yeah, I have great friends like Dave Horseman out hiking with a Viking. Dave Horseman's out in Washington State. Great dude, retired military, and like the stuff that he's doing to give back to his military community. I'm like, yeah, like that's all. Like when I see that, like it gets me fired up.
But you're training our kids, like that. Right. This is the thing. It takes everybody. Like it takes everybody, and there's such a personal fulfillment. Like, yeah, I don't know, dude. I'm so excited. Like this is one of the reasons that I wanted to start the channel. I wanted to meet people like you. I wanted to be able to interact with people that were helping and that were motivated. And that's been I didn't expect it to feel the way it does, but it's been a freaking game changer in my life, dude. It's been a game changer.
Good.
Yeah.
It feels so real good.
And when
you realize that a lot of these people are just normal people. Like I'm a school teacher.
Right.
Like Garrett Prawl is an engineer. Right? Aaron Warbritton's some dude from Missouri. Like, like when you're just like, oh, these are just dudes. Like this isn't what we do for a living. This is just kind of who we are as our personality. Like it. Right. That makes it even more real. That makes it even more fun.
Yeah. All right. So give me some closing thoughts. Sum up everything that we've talked about in like 2.5 sentences, and then we'll do our sign-offs. And
Honest Kids Super Fruit Punch
yes.
gets 1.5 out of 10 stars. True story. The only reason why this is in my fridge is because my kids won't drink it. That's how bad it is. Like, kids won't even drink the sugar water.
50-year-old Jack Daniels.
Kids are also not drinking this.
That's not true. Kids are definitely drinking that.
Kids are definitely drinking it. Just not my kids. That one. They're too young for that. Man.
No, I don't want anybody's kids drinking this. It's too fancy. Yeah. Dude, thank you so much for the time, man. I really appreciate the time.
Absolute
all right.
blast.
Give me your sign off. I want to hear the sign off.
I hope you're able to get outside, enjoy the sport of archery hunting if you so choose. Definitely enjoy God's beautiful creation, and we'll get to see you next time.
Yes. Thank you for watching. I'm Brandon McDonald. Dude, so good, man. This was a great conversation, dude.